What's up guys, today we're going to be comparing the Samsung Galaxy S10e to the LG G7. So this will cost you around 200 bucks and this will cost you around 450 to 500 depending on where you get it. So they are doing like sales and stuff right now, so the price will fluctuate. But now starting with the design of the G7, you have an aluminum frame, front and glass back, and this is one of my favorite phones to hold. It feels really great in the hand. This red color is really nice. I had the gray color as well. That one looks really nice, very shiny. Now you've got a dual camera setup on the back along with the flash, the fingerprint scanner, little LG logo right there. On the side you have your Google Assist button and your volume rockers. Then you flip it to the side, you have your power button. On the bottom, this keeps the headphone jack, USB Type-C, and you have one single firing speaker. Now for the display, you have an IPS LCD. It's a 6.1 inch 1440p display, 564 for the PPI, HDR10, and it is always on. Now for the S10e, you have the same thing, glass and aluminum design on here. I think the S10 just looks a little bit more premium. It does not feel any different than the G7. It feels really good in the hand. It is very small, I guess, for these days, pretty compact, and I really love the feel of this and the color on here. This little pearl color kind of shifts colors a little bit, and it's just really nice to hold and look at. So you have the dual camera setup with the flash. On the side you have your Bixby button and your volume rockers, and then you have your power button that also acts as a fingerprint scanner. Now on the bottom you have the headphone jack still, which was surprising. USB Type-C, you actually have stereo speakers on this guy. Now the Galaxy S10e has an 5.8 inch display with the little punch hole cut out. It is an AMOLED display. It is 1080 by 2280, 438 for the PPI, HDR10 always on display. Now image quality is pretty interesting with both these phones. So you have a 1440p display and then you have a 1080p display. Now the interesting thing is the colors. So with the AMOLED display, you're getting better colors overall. It just looks really nice color wise. Now with the G7 you're getting a bigger display, 6.1 inch versus a 5.8 inch. But this is 1440p, so it just looks a little bit more sharp, more clear. You can see a little bit more detail in the video. But as far as like color accuracy and just the overall quality, the S10e looks extremely nice. Now depending on what you like, you might prefer the little notch over like the punch hole, but honestly they don't bother me too much. And with the punch hole I can actually turn it upside down, and as you can see it's not as distracting as it being right there, which is pretty nice. But they both have excellent displays and I really love them both. It just comes down to personal preference, whether you want a bigger display, 1440p, or whether you want a smaller display with that super AMOLED with beautiful vibrant colors. So the G7 actually has one single speaker and you have stereo speakers on the S10e. The crazy thing about the speaker on the G7 is that it's actually very nice. So let's go ahead and see if it makes a big difference. So let's start with the G7. Sounds great as always, very crystal clear. Let's try it on the S10. So the sound is fuller on the S10, but it's barely, like, you won't notice a big difference. Now it does sound a little bit fuller, but it's not like dramatically different. So that's why I always give high praise to the G7. I wonder why they didn't add the stereo speakers with this one, because I'm pretty sure it would be some of the best speakers on any smartphone. So that's kind of weird that they did that, but it still sounds great. On the S10e you have Android 9 with One UI. It's most definitely gonna get Android 10. Now depending on which model you have, you'll get the Exynos 9820 or the Snapdragon 855. And you also, for the GPU, you're going to get the Mali G76 or the Adreno 640, depending on which model you get. So micro SD up to 1 TB, and you have 128 GB of storage and 6 GB of RAM. Now with the G7, you're running Android 9. I'm not sure if it's actually going to get Android 10. It's a high possibility it could, but there's been no word yet. The Snapdragon 845 and the Adreno 630. Micro SD support up to 1 TB, 64 gigs of storage, and 4 gigs of RAM. Both these phones are really excellent performers. So when you're playing games and stuff like that, you can play on high on both these phones. So I really love that on the G7 since it is such a low price. Being able to play games on high is really nice. I've cleared all applications on here, so let's go ahead and run a quick speed test. Started off with YouTube. 3, 2, 1. Pretty much the same. So let's try the Play Store. 3, 2, 1. S10 beat it there. What else do we have on here? Let's go ahead and try Call of Duty Mobile. 3, 2, 1. So as you can see, not a huge difference. The S10e was faster, of course, but not a huge difference for the price that you're paying with the G7, so pretty impressive. Now both phones have IP ratings, so you can get them both wet and you won't have to worry about them instantly breaking. Both of these phones have NFC as well, and they both have wireless charging. Now let's go ahead and talk about cameras, starting off with the G7. You have a dual camera setup, two 16 megapixel cameras, one standard and one ultra wide. You also have an 8 megapixel selfie camera. The back shoots in 2160p max, and then the front shoots in 1080p max. Now you have the same setup on the S10e, a 12 megapixel wide and a 16 megapixel ultra wide. And it shoots max 2160p for the back, a 10 megapixel selfie camera, but this actually shoots max 2160p, 30 frames per second, so that's pretty impressive as well. So for the cameras on here, which one has the best camera? If you want just like a straight up answer, the Galaxy S10e has the best camera, hands down. No competition. The G7's camera is good for what it is. You can get very nice shots, but the S10 with the color accuracy and the attention to the detail, the dynamic range, everything on here is spot on. It's a very nice camera. As you can see, it's almost like you can use it for as wallpapers or stuff like that. It's very, very nice. It's basically the same camera in the S10. Now when you're indoors and taking shots, they're closer. The LG G7, as you can see, pretty much takes some great images when you're indoors as well. So that is very nice. Color accuracy is better indoors. Now you get to the selfie camera. They both do a really good job. The S10e is just a little bit more color accurate and just slightly sharper, but the G7 is also very good as well. So you have to remember, this is still last year's flagship, so it's not going to be like night and day. They're going to be a little bit tighter, but when you're outdoors, the S10e is just really amazing. Now here's a closer shot of the mic, and as you can see, they both keep really good detail. Almost pretty spot on. It's just the S10 keeps more detail. It's definitely a little bit sharper and more color accurate, but as you can see, the LG G7 is no joke. It's still got great cameras, and I use the stock cameras, no G-Cam with both of these, so you can even get better photos out of this one. So very impressive for the photos, but if you need the best camera, then obviously the S10 is going to be the best. Now as far as getting into the phones, I prefer the fingerprint scanner on the back of the G7. It's just easier. Sometimes with this one, you kind of like do the little slide gesture if you have it on here, and when you're playing games you'll accidentally hit it, so you have to turn that feature off. And like G7, you know, you don't have to worry about that. You can use that gesture and not worry about hitting it when you're playing games and stuff like that. So I do prefer just the one on the back, the classic one. But the good thing about this, having it on the side, is that if my phone is like sitting flat on the table, I can just open it like that. But with the G7, you know, I obviously have to pick it up and unlock it. So you have face unlock on both these guys, which is nice, and they work very fast, so no problems with that. Now with the S10e, you have a 3100 milliamp battery, 15 watt fast charging, like I said, wireless charging at 15 watts actually, and then you have the reverse wireless charging with the 9 watt power bank. So if you haven't seen that, it's very cool. So basically, if you want to charge, well, let's say the G7, so we want to charge the G7 up, I just put it on here, and then it starts to charge my phone up. Yeah, so we get 98%. So very fun to play with. Now with the G7, you have a 3000 milliamp battery, 18 watt fast charging, so this will charge faster, and you also have the wireless charging as well, as we saw. Now the battery life seems to last a little bit better on the S10e, and I think it's because of that AMOLED display. If you leave always on display on this IPS panel, it will kind of die a little bit faster, so just be aware of that. So overall, I think battery performance is better on the S10e. But you will definitely be able to get through a day of battery life, no problem, on both these guys. And like I said, they charge extremely fast. So which one do you guys like better? I really love both these phones. I think for both price points, they bring a lot of great stuff. So thanks for watching this video, and I will catch you guys in the next one.